Hello everyone, in this video I am going to explain you about how to have communication between a client and a server through files. Here I am using two binary files, one at the client side and one at the server side. Both of them holds the messages which they receive from the either side. Now at the client side I am using two threads, and at the server side also I am using two threads. One is the write handler thread, another is the read handler thread. What write handler thread does is it waits for the user to type a text or the message it wants to send to the server, and as soon as the user enters the message it writes into the client file. Similarly, at the server side, the server waits for the user to enter a text, and as soon as the user enters the text it writes into the client file. The another thing about the read handler, so read handler, what it does is it reads from the client file in an infinite loop and it points to the end of the file. So initially the end of the file is null, then as soon as it encounters a character written into the client file, it prints the whole message and points to the null again. So it doesn't print, then it runs in an infinite loop. Similarly, the same thing happens at the server side. Now let me show you the execution part of it. So this is the client console and this is the server console. Now I can write the message from any of the side. Let's start with the client. The client sends the message saying hey to the server, and then it gets the message. Now the server can reply, hi, how are you? And the client receives the message. Now the client can send again, I am fine, what about you? So it can send multiple messages at once and the server receives it. Now server says okay, good, and that's it. So I hope you understood the execution part. Now let me show you the binary files. The server message, this is the binary file at server side. It holds the message it received from the client. So see, these are the messages it received from the client. Hey, I'm fine, what about you? And then at the client side we have the client messages. These are the messages received from the server, and they are hi, how are you? Okay, good. So I think that was precise, and now I'll explain you another topic. Okay, till now we have done the communication using two files, one at the client side and one at the server side, but now I'll explain you how to do using a single file which resides at the server side. So the process is the same. We have to create two threads at the client side and again two threads at the server side, a write handler and a read handler, but then again we have the status bit over here. So I'll explain it to you. Here I am using a structure message which holds the message, and also it also holds the integer value sent to. So that means it stores who this message was sent to. 0 represents the server and 1 represents the client. Similarly at the server side also it's the same. I am storing a structure called message which holds the message, and also a flag bit which shows to whom the message was sent to. Now at the write handler, what it does is I'll explain this to you with a diagram. Yes, so look over here. This is a file at the server side. Here initially we have one at the beginning of the file, we use a status bit. So this status, it is either set to 1 or 0. So when it is set to 1, that means one of them is writing into the file. At that time another file cannot write, and when it is set to 0, that means the another person who was writing has done his task, and like suppose client was writing, first it sets it to 1 so that server cannot write at the same time into the file, and then the server the client sets it back to 0 so that it can it can let the server write into the file. So that is the concept. Now I'll explain you through the code. Write handler, what is does is it opens the file in the RB plus mode, it scans the message, it takes the message from the user, then it runs in an infinite loop and waits till the writing status at the beginning is set to 0. If it is 0, first it sets the bit to 1, that means it is writing into the file, and then it writes the message into the file, and then again it changes the status to 0 so that now the server can write into the file. After that, the writing is done. The same thing happens at the server side. It sets to 1, it waits till it's 0, and then it sets the status to 1, and then it writes into the file, and then again it changes the status to 0. Whereas at the reading side, the client, what it does is it reads the message structure from the file, and only if the message was sent to 1, that means if the message was sent to client, like when sending here, when writing the message here, we are writing message is sent to server, message dot send to, it is sent to server, the client is sending to server. Now the server will set it as message sent to 1, that means the message is intended for client. Now at the reading side, if the client sees that the message was intended for him, for the client, then it prints the message, or else it just ignores it. Whereas it is the same at the client side. If the message was intended for client, it prints the message, else it ignores it and runs in an infinite loop. Now I'll show you the execution of it. So this is the client console and this is the server console. Let's start from the client. Let's type a message, hi buddy. That the problem with the speed is because of the slow processor of my laptop. It receives the message, and then now client can type a message, hi, how are you? Now the client can reply back, I'm good. What about you? So you see, in this way client and server communicated through a single file. I hope the understanding was clear to you. Thank you for watching the video, and if you have any queries you can post it in the comment section below. Thank you, goodbye.